This is a video I've been meaning to make for a while. At Microsoft Ignite toward the end of 2023, a new product, SharePoint Premium, was announced. This is an advanced set of tools to help you manage the documents you create or store in SharePoint across your organisation, mostly with the help of AI. With all the focus on Copilot, SharePoint Premium might have gotten a little forgotten. But despite this being a product probably most focused at the enterprise level, it's actually got a fair number of very accessible tools that can help any organisation, and especially those wanting to manage data better for Copilot for Microsoft 365. So let's dive into what SharePoint Premium is, how it's licensed, some demos of what it can do, and why I think it should be an important part of your Microsoft 365 toolkit, especially if you're adopting or planning to adopt Copilot for Microsoft 365. Before we start, a quick introduction. My name is Nick DeCourcy. I'm the owner of Bright Ideas Agency, a digital transformation consulting company focused on the needs of smaller businesses. I'm also the author of Who's in the Copilot Seat, a guidebook for small and medium-sized business leaders on how to adopt AI technology. If you're interested in learning more about working with me or getting a copy of my book, there are links below where you can get more information. If you try to buy SharePoint Premium licenses from Microsoft, you're going to be out of luck, as right now at least this is a brand that's mostly for marketing purposes rather than a distinct licensable offering you can purchase for your users. This is pretty confusing, as I've seen more than one person online asking questions about these document automation tools and trying to buy those SharePoint Premium licenses that don't exist. There is a Microsoft adoption page for SharePoint Premium, even one that's completely distinct from SharePoint non-premium. But as you'll quickly find if you select to get an overview of SharePoint Premium, the product that Microsoft is currently talking about is actually Microsoft Syntex. Microsoft Syntex is not just one tool, but a whole set of tools that help you automate document processing. Things like AI-powered data extraction, automated document construction, content tagging, and even new offerings like e-signature. Most of Syntex's tools are in some way AI-powered, but many of the AI capabilities it uses are more focused and specific than the generalised generative AI capabilities we see in a tool like Copilot. If you're familiar with Power Platform AI Builder or features of Azure Cognitive Services, now Azure AI Services, these are essentially just those same tools turned towards SharePoint-based document storage. Up until 2023, Syntex was sold on a per-user license model, but that has now changed with all these services, including new ones like SharePoint Archive being charged on a pay-as-you-go consumption-based model directly from Azure subscription. But it does seem likely eventually we may see a discrete SharePoint Premium license SKU returning due to recent innovation in the features available in Syntex. Many businesses would benefit from at least some of the features in Syntex. Any process that deals with lots of documents, either processing ones you're receiving or generating new ones consistently, can be helped by these tools. And the benefit of pay-as-you-go consumption is this tooling is accessible whether you're dealing with 10 documents or 10,000. To get started with Syntex, you just turn it on by linking it to an Azure subscription for pay-as-you-go billing. By default, its features will be available to your users across SharePoint, but you can target it towards certain sites, in most cases by setting an allow list of up to 100 sites on a service-by-service basis. If you need help getting started, there are great instructions from Microsoft which I'll link below. So now we know what Syntex is, let's take a look at some of the features. Before we move on though, if you're finding this video useful, it would be great if you'd give it a like to help it get in front of more people. And if you're interested in seeing more like this, please do subscribe to the channel. The first tool I want to look at is Document Assembly. This allows you to build Word-based templates directly inside SharePoint and then either using a form or automation with Power Automate, build out consistent documents. Let me show you an example of creating a template and populating it with a form. I may return to this for a more automated example in a later video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. As always, demos are recorded with example accounts and data, and no one's private information is ever shown. So here I am in a document library that's been enabled for Syntex. You can see I've got things like classify and extract up the top here. So what I'm going to do is I've got this document, which is an example contract, and it's just kind of a placeholder for the type of thing that you might see across many businesses where there's like some kind of template that isn't a real template. It's just kind of a document where people routinely fill things in. So what I want to do here is go ahead and I'm going to come over to my new menu. I'm going to click on Create Modern Template. I'm going to select this document as my template. And you can see I'm now in this template builder. So what I can do here is I can actually select text that's part of my document. And based on that, I could create a field. So I'm going to go ahead and just call this client name. Oh, went in the wrong spot. There we go. Client name. I'm going to use it as a content field. I can also use it as a form field. It doesn't actually replace the content if I do that, but I'm not going to demo that in this example. And then I can select what type of data it is. So in this case, I'm just going to say a single line of text, but I can, if you see here, actually choose from columns that are in libraries or manage metadata. I'm not going to give that example here, but that is an option when you're creating these templates. I'm just going to save that. I'm going to do exactly the same with the date. So I'm just going to create a field from that. This is going to be called date. And I'm going to go ahead and make this a date. You can see I can change the date format just as I can in SharePoint. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing with my details of service. So once I've got all of that completed, and you can have multiple items of the same on the form, as you will have seen from that. We can also have conditional sections, but I'm not going to go ahead and demo that here. I'm just going to go ahead and publish. And you can see I can create a name for my template, so I'm just going to leave this as example contract, and then I can work out what of these fields I want to end up being shown in my document library. So I'm going to go ahead and select client name and date, and I'm going to want to add these to the default view in the library so that I see them in the library once I've populated that information. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to publish this template, and when I click done, it's going to return me to my document library. But now if I click on new, I see something a little different. For some reason it leaves Clipchamp video here. If you want to get rid of that, you can go ahead and click on edit new menu and just remove Clipchamp video and save. And now if I click on new, you can see the only option that I have as a user is to create a new contract in this document library. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it opens up a very similar view to the one that I had previously, but now I have this form down the side. So I'm going to go ahead and just say that a company is my the name of my client. I'm going to put in a date of today, and I'm just going to say some services here. And you can see that as I move through my form, this is changing over here to reflect what I'm putting on my form here. I'm just going to go ahead and say create document. I can change the name of my document, so I can say contract 1, for example, and I can change it to be a PDF or a doc. So let's just change it to a PDF. I'm going to go ahead and create. It's now created, and it takes me back to my document library. And you can see that not only do I have my new contract created here, but all the information from those fields is pulled through to my document library. So imagine I can have 100 contracts in here, and I'm able to sort them and filter them based on this different information to manage my files a lot better. You can use document assembly to make it simple for your employees to generate documents consistently, such as contracts or status updates, or coupled with automation to build documents such as client letters at scale. But what if you're not the sender, but the receiver of someone else's documents? How can you benefit from Microsoft Syntex? Let's take a look at document data extraction. So one of the things you'll do when you set up Syntex in your environment, if you follow Microsoft's instructions, is to establish a content center. And the content center is where you will keep the models that you're going to use for processing your files. So I'm in my content center here, and I'm just going to create a new model. And you can see I have 6 options here. I have 3 to train a custom model and 3 that to do with a pre-built model. So for this example, I'm just going to use the pre-built invoice processing model. And you can see there are some examples here of what this can do. So you can look to see whether the pre-built model kind of meets your needs, and if it does, if it's extracting the type of information that you want, then you can go ahead and click next. We can create a title for it. So I'm just going to call this invoice demo. I don't need to create a description. I can put one in there if I want to. And there are some advanced options here that I'm not going to go into here, but there are other things that you can do with this. So I'm going to go ahead and create it, and then it's going to take me to my model screen. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at what I can extract from my files. So I'm going to add a file, and I'm going to click on Add. And I've already got a couple of files here. These are example invoices that are from one of Microsoft's trainings on Microsoft Learn, which I highly recommend you take a look at. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add, and then I can click on Next. And it's going to take me to a screen where it shows me an example of the invoice. And you can see that it's looking at what is going on here with the data. And I can look at different aspects of what's on screen, and it's going to show me what it's trying to find. So you can see I've got a payment term here, I've got my subtotal, I've got my total, I've got my sales tax, and you could go on and you could select, is it finding the right information? Is this correct? So yes, that information is correct. I can go ahead and I can say I want to extract that information. I can go ahead and say I want to extract the payment terms. So yes, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to extract some of these things. And then that is what I want to extract. There were 13 extractors found in this file, and there were 4 that I want to extract. And I can go ahead, I can look at my next file. It's going to do exactly the same thing. You can see it's looking through, it's finding what data can I extract from this. You can see this isn't a very good scan. So it's finding stuff, and it's found a number of the things that we had on our last one. So you can see I've already got those extractors in there, and I've got other extractors that have been found in this file. So for simplicity, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to save and exit. I've already selected my extractors. You can see I've done that through this process here. So the last part is just to apply the model. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into my demo site that we just saw. I'm going to apply this to demo 2, to that library, and I'm going to click on Add. And now this model, this extraction model, is going to be applied to that library. So you can see I'm now in this library. I'm going to select my invoice demo view, which has been created for me because I've applied this to the library, and I'm going to go ahead and add some content. And you can see now I've uploaded a bunch of demo invoices. We can just pop in and take a look at one and see it follows much the same structure as the one that we just saw during the training. And we're going to wait a little while. You can see that it's analysing the files, and after a couple of minutes then it will have analysed these files and got information out of them. And you can see now it's finished for each of these files, so it's gone ahead and it's extracted that information and it's added it in here as metadata in my library so that I can see it in the column. And obviously I can go ahead and I can filter based on different values depending on what I want to do. At the start of the video I mentioned that the tools in SharePoint Premium might be especially useful to those adopting Copilot for Microsoft 365. Let me elaborate on that a little. A lot of the focus in the preparation of data for Copilot goes into issues of privacy and security associated with problems like oversharing in order to create just enough access. I have videos on this topic and will link 1 or 2 below. But this is just one side of the data preparation coin, and while tightening up security may avoid blockbuster problems when you start deploying Copilot, what will have a far greater impact on its efficacy day to day will be the quality of the data your users have access to. Do you have consistent document lifecycle management approaches in place? Are you drowning in a sea of old or duplicated data? It's these sorts of issues that can have a real detrimental impact on how well Copilot performs when you try to ground requests in your existing Microsoft 365 content. And while SharePoint Premium doesn't just get turned on and solve those problems overnight, it is the toolset that can help you make better sense of your bulk data and put good document management processes in place that can help you clean up your data estate and keep it clean into the future. And as we'll see in the next example, the development trajectory of SharePoint Premium is giving you tools you could use at scale using the same skills you might be learning as a Copilot for Microsoft 365 user. Now, talking of Copilot for Microsoft 365, are you currently deploying it in your business? Or are you thinking of deploying it for your small or medium-sized organisation? If you're interested in getting my help with your adoption process, my new Copilot for Microsoft 365 adoption package puts together all the consulting and training services most small and medium-sized businesses need when rolling out Copilot, and packages them together with one transparent and fully understandable per-user price. And if you need something more focused, perhaps you're interested in the document automation capabilities of SharePoint Premium like I'm showing you in this video, I can work with you on your custom project, giving you the specific help you need to empower your business to its greatest success with technology. Check out the links below where you can get started with a no-obligation introductory call to find out if my services are a good fit for what you need. The last demo I want to run through is of a new Syntex feature, Autofill Columns. This utilises the prompting skills you may have built using Copilot for Microsoft 365 or other generative AI tools like ChatGPT, and the processing at scale capabilities of Syntex to allow you to automatically use the GPT-4 Turbo generative model to reason over your documents using any prompt you've built for the purpose and to save the responses in SharePoint. So here we are in a document library, and all I've got in here is an invoice that we saw in our last demo. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a column. It's going to be a text column. I'm going to click next, and I'm just going to call this file type. It's going to be a single line of text. It's going to be an autofill column, and I'm just going to click on setup. So what I can do here is I can type a prompt that I would type to ChatGPT, or in this case GPT-4 Turbo, and in exactly the same way as I would direct that, I can direct this. So I can just say, what type of file is this? Choose from invoice, insurance, verification, contract, or leave blank. So we'll use that as our prompt, and then I'm just going to use the document that's already in there and click test. And you can see the result that I've got is invoice. So I'm going to click on save. Let's save this. And you can see I get two new columns. I get file type and processing status. So what I'm going to do is add a few extra files to this document library. So what I've added here is 2 additional invoices and 1 rental agreement. So I will go ahead and wait for these to be processed. And you can see it's now finished processing the 3 new files. It takes a couple of minutes to do this, but in the case of my 2 contracts, it's identified that those are, or 2 invoices I should say, it's identified that those are in fact invoices, even though they look different to one another. And it's identified that this rental agreement is in fact a contract. It hasn't processed this one again because that was already in there and hasn't been modified. So you can see immediately this is a really cool way of extracting information without going through the complexity of creating a model in the way that we just demoed. As you can see, combining the power of a generative model like GPT-4 Turbo with Syntex allows you to be really creative in how you extract information or add additional value from your SharePoint documents, and to do so without the complexity of model training. The joy of all these tools is you can dovetail them together using Power Automate to build really custom and streamlined document automation systems really quickly. Imagine a situation where you have to collect insurance documents from your vendors. You have an inbox, and when a file attachment arrives, you route it to SharePoint. You use GPT-4 powered autofill to identify whether the document is a proof of insurance, and if it is, you route it to another library where a trained extraction model pulls a set of data from the document. If the insurance coverage is too low, you use Power Automate and document assembly to generate a letter informing the vendor that their contracts will be cancelled unless they become compliant with your insurance requirements. All these steps can be taken with minimal human oversight and done at scale. And because all these services are charged by consumption, even the smallest business can find these solutions accessible. Is this something you are using or wanting to use in your business? Is this a topic you'd like to see me make more videos on? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for watching through to the end. Until the next video, bye bye.